I was being brought to set in a wheelchair. Like, I couldn't walk that far. So I had to tell everybody because I needed help. You know, I needed someone to help me stand, and I needed someone to help. I needed someone to help me to get there.
Why did it take 37 years for the truth about Al Bundy to finally come out? Everyone's obsessed with the reunion, but the real story is what happened when the lights went down. Christina Applegate has finally opened up about the disturbing pressure she faced as a young star. But get this, the hero of the story isn't who you think it is. Or maybe it is. There are still many rumors in the air, but what many can confirm is that Ed O'Neill did something no one else would. The details are absolutely wild and change everything. Real-life Bundy Shield. When Christina Applegate first walked onto the set of Married with Children in 1987, she was just 15 years old. She was a teenager stepping into one of the most controversial sitcoms in television history. The show was edgy and it pushed every boundary that network television allowed at the time. Right in the middle of all that chaos was a young girl who needed someone to look out for her. That someone turned out to be Ed O'Neill. What most people never realized is that Ed O'Neill took on a role far more important than playing Al Bundy. He became the protector of the young actress. He became her mentor, and in many ways, he became the father figure she needed during one of the most vulnerable times in her life. For 37 years, neither of them ever fully revealed just how deep that bond actually went. Ed O'Neill was in his early 40s when the show started, and he had been through the ups and downs of Hollywood already. He understood what this industry could do to young people, especially young women who were suddenly thrust into the spotlight. Christina was playing Kelly Bundy, a character who was written as a popular image that attracted a lot of attention. The jokes were often suggestive and the outfits were revealing. The attention from fans and media could have easily gone to dark places, but Ed made sure that never happened. In rare interviews that most fans have never seen, Christina has talked about how Ed would shield her from certain conversations on set. He would step in when things got too adult, and he would make sure that even though the show was pushing boundaries, the actual environment around Christina remained safe and professional. This was not something he was required to do, and it was not part of his job description. This was Ed O'Neill choosing to be a genuinely good human being. Christina spent 11 years on that set, and she went from being 15 to 26 during the run of the show. Those are the years when a person forms their entire identity and shapes who they become as an adult. Christina has admitted that the presence of the older actor during those years fundamentally changed who she is today. The crew members who worked on the show have shared stories over the years about watching this relationship develop. They would see him pull her aside between takes to check on her, and they would notice him positioning himself near her during difficult scenes. They would watch as he quietly redirected conversations when they started heading in inappropriate directions around the young actress. This was not just acting, but genuine care. There were moments that the cameras never captured, like the times when he would drive her home after late-night shoots because he did not want her traveling alone. There were times when he would call her mother to reassure her that her daughter was being looked after. He would even stand up to producers who wanted to push the girl into situations that made her uncomfortable. What makes their connection even more remarkable is how it evolved over time. In the early years, it was clearly a mentor and student relationship. He had the experience and she had the talent. But as the years went on, the dynamic shifted and she became more confident. She found her voice, and the man who had taken her under his wing watched with pride as she transformed into a powerhouse performer. By the final seasons, she was no longer just following his lead, but she was holding her own. She was bringing ideas to the table and contributing to the creative process in ways that surprised even the most experienced members of the production team. He could not have been prouder of her. Now, decades later, the actress has finally started revealing the full extent of what he meant to her during those formative years. But this secret bond was just the beginning of their story, because what happened when the cameras stopped rolling was even more remarkable than what happened in front of them. The bond between them was strong, but a massive threat was about to appear from the outside world. Shielding cast from cancellation. In 1989, something happened that threatened to destroy the show completely. A woman named Terry Rakolta from Michigan watched an episode and was so outraged that she launched a full-scale boycott campaign. She contacted major advertisers and she wrote letters while appearing on news programs. She was determined to get the show canceled. Her campaign worked, at least at first. Huge companies like Coca-Cola pulled their advertising and McDonald's withdrew their support. Dozens of other major companies followed, and the network was panicking. Executives were having emergency meetings, and there were real conversations about ending the show right then and there. The situation felt hopeless, and for a 17-year-old girl, this was terrifying. The show was her entire career, and everything she had worked for was at risk. Suddenly, it looked like it could all disappear because one woman in Michigan decided she did not like what she saw on television. The uncertainty was overwhelming for someone so young. But Ed O'Neill refused to let fear take over. What most people do not know is that during this crisis, he personally took it upon himself to calm the younger cast members. He sat down with Christina and David Faustino and told them that no matter what happened, they had created something special. He told them that the show might survive or it might not, but either way, they should be proud of what they had accomplished together. He also did something else that has rarely been discussed. He contacted the press himself and gave interviews defending the show. More importantly, he defended the young people who worked on it. He made sure that in every conversation about the controversy, someone was speaking up for his television kids. He refused to let them become damage in a culture war. The boycott ultimately backfired in a spectacular fashion. All the negative attention made people curious about this show they had never watched before. Ratings actually went up by a lot. The publicity that was supposed to destroy them ended up making them more popular than ever before. It was one of the most ironic turns in television history. But the actress has revealed that what she remembers most from that terrifying time was not the ratings or the victory over the boycott. What she remembers most is the older actor standing by her side when everything seemed like it was falling apart. She remembers him being steady when everyone else was panicking. She remembers him showing her what it means to handle a crisis with grace and composure. The cast started wearing the boycott like a badge of honor. They would joke about it on set, and they would reference it in interviews with pride. What had been meant to shame them had instead united them together. They had been tested by fire and emerged stronger than ever. That experience bonded the cast together in ways that audiences never fully understood. They had faced potential destruction as a team, and they had come out the other side stronger. But surviving that crisis together would prove to be just practice for what they would face decades later. The show eventually ended, but a much bigger fight was waiting for her in the years ahead: rebuilding life after diagnosis. When the show ended in 1997, it did not end the way anyone expected. There was no grand finale or emotional goodbye episode. There was no closure for the characters or for the actors who had played them for over a decade. The show was simply canceled, and that was that. One day they were filming new episodes, and the next day they were not. For 11 years, the two leads had worked together almost every single day. They had celebrated birthdays together and watched each other grow and change. They had created hundreds of episodes of television that would go on to influence countless other shows. Then suddenly, it was over. The actress has spoken about how strange that period was for her. One day you have this entire family around you and you have a routine with people who know you better than almost anyone else in your life. Then the next day, all of that just stops. The set gets torn down and everyone goes their separate ways. The family you spent your formative years with suddenly scatters to the wind. The ending left a void that none of them were prepared for. They had been part of something special that had changed television, and now it was gone. Hollywood had simply moved on to the next thing, but the actress has revealed that she and her television father never truly separated. Even after the show ended, they maintained their connection. They would call each other and meet for meals. He would check in on her career and offer advice when she asked for it, and support even when she did not. The television father and daughter relationship had become something very real. She went on to have a remarkable career appearing in major films and starring in other successful television shows. She won awards and earned critical acclaim. Through all of it, the older actor was watching, and he was proud of her in the way a father is proud of his daughter. He also found tremendous success starring in another beloved sitcom for many years. But in interviews, when people would ask him about his career highlights, he would often bring up the young girl he worked with for 11 years. The lack of a proper ending to their original show has haunted both of them over the years. There have been countless discussions about doing a reunion, and fans would petition for it constantly. Until recently, most people assumed that a reunion was just a matter of scheduling and logistics. They assumed that eventually the stars would align and the family would return to television. But then something happened that changed everything. On August 10, 2021, the actress posted something on social media that stopped the world. She announced that she had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. The disease had been discovered a few months earlier while she was filming the final season of her latest show. Multiple sclerosis is a chronic disease that affects the central nervous system. It can cause problems with moving around, balance, vision, and how the brain works. There is no cure for this, and although the symptoms can be managed, the disease never goes away. For the actress, this diagnosis meant that her entire life had to be restructured from the ground up. She now uses a cane to walk, and she has talked openly about experiencing brain fog that makes certain tasks difficult. She has had to accept that her body has changed in ways she never anticipated. The woman who once played the most famous teenager on television now struggles with basic movements that most people take for granted. Every day brings new challenges for her. The diagnosis was not just physical, but emotional too. She has been honest about the grief she has experienced for the life she thought she would have. She has had to mourn while still living, which is one of the hardest things any person can do. What she revealed about the response of her former co-star shows the true depth of their relationship. When he found out about her illness, he immediately reached out. He did not just send a text message or a brief phone call. He made sure she knew that he was there for her. He expressed his love and support in ways that went far beyond what former co-workers typically do for each other. Could a virtual reunion be the final way to see this family together one last time without hurting Christina? Let me know in the comments, and please like and subscribe for more.